But let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction,
some lies about the border,
who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
He'll make some lies about the border.
To finish up,
don't finish
we
up.
now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice
like
he
you
never
get
took
money
out
from
my
Putin
tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous, and we saved our steel industries. And
so who's he paid by?
But he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country.
But that's what
China
China wants.
The worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe.
You want
and you
Putin
can't
to
let
own
that
us.
happen. We're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling?
He wouldn't answer the child care question. He won't
We
answer
were
this
very
one.
well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5,
We're
almost
doing
3
very
years
well at
of, like
addiction.
nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough, and it was the drugs pouring across the border.
The border. I knew it was the border. You can make fentanyl in your closet,
We got great
apparently.
equipment. We bought the certain dog. It's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it.
You got
We
a
did
certain
lot.
dog?
And we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs
hell is a
and human
gotaway?
trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers
In
that nobody's
women?
ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you.
You're
President Biden.
anti-woman, but in
Fentanyl
women.
and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl. These big machines that roll over everything that comes across the
Well,
border.
Trump has a dog,
And
though.
it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more.
But they
be able to
killed the
detect
deal,
drugs,
didn't they? Because they didn't
more-
want you to have
more
any
numbers
success.
Of agents, more numbers of all people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every
Well, Trump
country
had a dog,
in
though.
Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl, and Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this doesn't
Couldn't care less. The border.
He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended Catch
Who
and
cares
Release.
about
I made
addicted
Catch and Release in
Americans?
Mexico,
We
not
have to be
Catch and
racist
Release
about the
here.
border.
We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6
they pay for the
billion
wall?
for a hostage. Every time we say a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter. I think a good guy, and he's over
Your
there because
boss,
Putin
Putin,
is
is
laughing
the one-
at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars.
You
for
suggested
the
you'll get him
reporter. I
out
will
because you have a
him out
back
very
channel deal with
quickly.
Putin.
As soon as I take office, before I take office,
Sounds
I
like
said,
Putin's
I
taking
literally,
America hostage,
as
saying
soon as
you
I
have
win
to
the
elect
election,
Trump.
I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago. But Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where he paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns
Has nothing
that
to do
voters
with
have about
people
each
on drugs.
President Biden,
Nothing to
you
do
would
with
be
fentanyl.
86 at the
You
end
can't
of the
answer a
second
question,
term.
but I wish they'd ask you
Can
directly about
address
Putin.
concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job